Hello, and thank you for watching the Be Ready podcast, where we connect families, schools, and communities by discussing ideas that help our children be successful in school and in life. So, quick recap. In our last episode, we talked about how to identify academically and emotionally safe environments, which is especially important during the summer. We connected safety to cultural competent environment. So we shared about our successful and unsuccessful attempts to talk about Juneteenth with our kids. And I think my most favorite thing is we shared a little bit of the science about why it's important to expose kids to diverse experiences. So even if a kid doesn't remember the exact Saturday that they went to the science center, the fact that they learn about robotics is forever embedded in their mind, and they'll be able to recall that memory for academic success in the future. And bonus, we introduce our two new co-hosts, Camila and Jania.
Hey everybody.
Hey.
Does anyone have any takeaways that I didn't mention?
No, I think you hit it on the spot though, with being able to create and foster those safe, emotionally safe environments, because you can't get to the academics if their basic needs are not met. So,
A to the men. So, given that school is about to start, we wanted to discuss a topic that's relevant in the classroom and in our homes. And so we landed on how environments can be managed through routines. And I know when I say that, it sounds very like a little bit snoozy, very much adulting. But honestly, I feel like a good routine could kind of make or break your day. What do y'all think?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. It just takes the guesswork out of a lot of things.
Yeah, that's true.
does.
I think experts in early child development and education would agree. So they all express the importance of routines in supporting positive learning and development. So they talk about how routines build self-confidence, curiosity, social skills, self-control. They decrease anxiety because like the consistency and predictability of a routine provides comfort and safety to kids. So when you hear the word routine, what is the first thing that comes to mind, considering either your kids or your profession?
Structure.
Yep.
Yeah. Scheduled.
Well-oiled machine.
Yes.
Yeah. Self-regulation.
Executive functioning.
Yeah.
Self-regulation for you or for the kid? Because I think of routines and I in general know that routines are a good idea, but for me, routines are hard.
Yeah.
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 I think for
They
both
can
of us,
be.
though. Yeah, I think it is like it sets up a space where I can be regulated as an adult, where I know kind of like what's coming. But I think also for our children too, like it may not always be the easiest to do our routine, but they know that it is a routine, and so there's no guesswork, there's no surprises. Like everybody, like we know this is what we're doing, and we know we do this every morning, and so everybody take a deep breath, everybody be regulated. Let's get all these things done. Because when you go outside, you may not be able to be. Yeah.
But that also makes me think of like the phrase like, or to de-stress. Like when routines are first rolling out, when you're planning them, doing all of that, all of the things that need to be done to get this routine going for you and the kids, like it can be like, all right, guys, we got to get this together. And it's a retry and a try and a retry and a try and a retry. But once it is going, like I said it earlier, there's no guesswork left in there. I know what I have to do. Like I don't have to say a million times, like at home for my son, I don't have to say, okay, after dinner, go take a shower, then go brush your teeth, then get the book out, then we're reading, because it's part of this routine that he's accustomed to. And so that's less cognitive load for me.
Yes, that mental load right there is so important, because especially for working moms, that mental load, like the last thing you want to do is come home and think, period. Not even just think about something, period. You know, and I know I've said that. I found myself saying that a lot, coming home, like, you know, it's like, I don't even want to think, Brandon, just do it, you know, but they know we come home, cook dinner, you know, we do homework, all of that stuff. It's embedded into the structure of the household.
Very
well,
true.
let me throw this little monkey wrench in there. So I found this article where the mom said, my kids and I, this is the title of the article. My kids and I stopped sticking to a regular routine, and it has made such a huge difference, like a positive difference.
Okay.
So basically, she said that she increased flexibility because she felt like a failure for not having her kids in bed by a certain time, not having dinner ready, on time every night, or like you might be focused on an activity with your kids. So let's say you're at the zoo, and because you're at the zoo, you miss nap time. Then your kid is cranky, or they take a late nap. They don't want to go to bed at night. And so she felt guilt. She felt overwhelmed. She felt stressed because of not sticking to a schedule, and I think she kind of saw it as like a standard of parenting, and it made her feel like a bad mom. And so she stopped doing the routine. So she said instead she focused on like some kind of non-negotiable family expectations. So every day her kids can expect that her and their dad are going to be there when they wake up and go to bed. That they're gonna clean up their toys before bed. They're gonna do a little cuddling before bedtime. They'll play outside. They'll read a book. They'll dance. Like those are things that they can, I guess, more of like the emotional support is what they can expect, and less of the routine. Because I can definitely, like, I get the importance of routines, but I can definitely relate to feeling like stressed out because it seems like everybody else's kids are in bed at 7:30 and mine aren't. Or like, okay, if I don't get off work till 5, by the time I like pick everybody else up, get home, cook dinner, it's like 7 o'clock. Like I actually want to spend time with my kids, right? And so then by the time we go to bed, it might be a little bit later than normal. So I just know that it's important to have routines at home and in the classroom. I recognize that. But is there flexibility, and what does that look like?
I think that's the key. Yeah, that flexibility piece is important because I think it's like structure doesn't have to be rigid. You know what I mean? You have to have some room for flexibility and some room for hiccups, because if you stick to like this thing, because that's something that my husband and I talk about all the time. Like when I say if the time is 6 o'clock, we better be there at 5:59. Like it's like. And I keep I'm like, you gotta relax a little bit because you're gonna drive yourself crazy if you do that. You have to leave room for flexibility.
And I think that when you rigid is the perfect word, because as you were talking, Deshawn, I kept thinking to myself, unpacking what this mom may have been thinking her idea of routines are. Because if her routines are with children, we must be in these straight Stepford lines all the time. Yeah, that's stressful. That's stressful for the kids. That's stressful for her. I'm surprised she made it as long as she did. Because that's crazy. But even as you're talking, she does have a routine. Because she knows she wants to spend this time, so she makes these times for it. It's just not in this box, which makes me then think about the misconception of a routine being a prison structure. That's not it. Right? That's not it. But there has to be some sort of structure where you do have to be flexible and also know your kids. Because for example, Lucas does not do well emotionally when he has to operate in an academic space if he's tired. So I know he can't go to bed past 8:30 if he has to wake up with me at 6 o'clock in the morning. But does that mean he has to be in bed at 7:50? No. Does that mean we have to read this? No. But we're paying attention to the time, so hurry up and eat. After you eat, if we're at 8:45, is it going to be the end of the world? No. But these are the things that you work through, and you exercise that flexibility for whatever you're doing at that time to suit your kids. That's what the routine needs to be.
Yeah. I think that is the good point of knowing your kid and knowing your family, because my routine, I promise, looks different than everybody's on here, but I know that there are still these things that we have to get done. We are a late family. And I think for a really long time, I was really oh, we're that family where my kid is coming in from practice at 8 o'clock. So we're not eating till 9. So we're just and I felt really guilty about it. And then I met some friends that were from Spain and they were like, no, girl, it's fine. Like your kids are fine. Like they're thriving, they're eating, they're healthy. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So it is, routine is not this, and I had looked up like a bunch of different routines on the internet. Like that's not it. Like don't go to the internet and get routine. It really is figuring out kind of like what works. And I mean, if that's for you, that's for you. But I think that adds a lot of the pressure on it, right?
Yeah, it does.
Like, what do you need to get done in your family? Like, what works for your family? Right. And how can you do that so that you all know, like, after A is B, after B is C? Yeah. And not necessarily that it's like, we're going to spend 10 minutes reading and we're going to spend 15 minutes doing this, but just like the natural flow of things. And how do you make sure that that is something that happens often so that it does create that space of like routine and regulation and safety? I think that's important. That is a really good point. Yeah.
Yeah. And you made a really good point though, Jania, like it is what works for you and your family. Like comparison is the thief of joy, right? So if you are looking at other parents and saying, well, how come they can do it? This is what works for them. Yeah, that's what works for them. But maybe it doesn't work for me. Maybe I can look at it as a model. If I like it, let me take it, flip it and adjust it how it works for us. Because if I know where I want my kids to be, I know what works for them, then that's what I'm going to do. Then I can go to Pinterest and get my cutesy stuff to order.
Yeah.
So let's flip it for a second and talk about the classroom, because I remember like as a new teacher going into the classroom, and I feel like in my first couple of years, I made the mistake of trying to manage the classroom based on me, right? Like my temperament, what I wanted, what, and then I learned, just by trial and error, right? Like as you just mature as a teacher, that a couple of things I feel like are the best classroom management. One is engagement. Right. But I also believe that engagement has multiple components. There's like behavioral engagement, there's emotional engagement. And I think part of that is like routines. I feel like between routines and engagement, you can manage your classroom and maybe not have to deal with a lot of the behaviors that you might as an early teacher or that some other teachers might experience. So what are like one or two routines that you think are important for the classroom, and like how do you set those up?
Yeah.
I think morning circles, like a mindfulness moment. I was just about to say it. Like that is like, if you don't have anything else in your routine, I think that is so important, because to your point, Deshawn, is like not every, like you're doing this on like your temperament, and that's not every student's temperament, right? So when do you have like that moment for everybody to come in and settle, no matter who it is? I think those are super important. I really also love a schedule, like being able to see on a board
see what's going on.
Yeah, and I think that's important for students too. Like our students, some of our students are neurodivergent and some that are not. But just being able to kind of be able to see what's coming next. Nobody, I mean, people like surprises, but not every single day. So if I know that ELA block right after science that comes, then I know when I'm going to lunch. If I feel a little rumble in my stomach, I can look and be like, oh well, it's 9:45. Lunch is until 12, and I can kind of like calm myself in that or settle myself in that.
Nia, you were in my brain.
Yep.
You were in my brain.
Literally. Yeah.
Those morning circles is such a huge part of it. Like it sets the tone for the kids in that class. Like I did it from teaching kindergarten through 8th grade. And my 8th grader, we sat on the rug and we talked. And even that morning meeting had a routine to it, right? We always had a greeting. We always had an opportunity to share. It was a question, like thrown out there. Usually something relevant I hear on the Breakfast Club or something. But then also it's an opportunity for the kids to tell how they're feeling. And that last component, I always like, all right, this is what we have set up for the day. I always had a schedule posted, whether they could read it or not, because this, and this is going to happen. And if something we had to be divergent from that schedule at any time, in my morning meeting, I addressed that. Like, I know usually at this time we go to this center, but this time we're going to do this. And when I tell you my classes ran so smoothly, regardless of whatever grade I taught, like, and I would have interns come in and say, well, how do you get second graders to take notes? Like, what do you mean? This is part of our everyday. Like,
right.
What do you mean? This is what we do.
Yeah.
And out of the mouth of babes, right? Like, kids would leave my class, go to another block, and act a plum fool. And just in talking to my kids in morning meeting again, I'd be like, man, why are you doing her like that? Why did I hear you acting like that? I'm like, man, she just like, I don't even know what's supposed to be happening in that class. Like, the walls look like jail. She don't got nothing up on the walls. Like, we just in there. Sometimes we take out our math book first. Sometimes it's science. I don't know. And I'm like,
that's the truth.
Okay.
It's the truth.
You know?
Yeah. It sometimes even like, and they'll check you when you forget to, so because sometimes you just routines and like sometimes we forgot the affirmations, Miss Smith. Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
So we had to do our affirmations. We prayed at the beginning of every school year because we were at a faith-based school. So but just like you said, even with the older kids, it was just so super important to sit and set that tone for the day.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Don't you love it when they call you out about it? Because now that means that they've taken ownership of it, right?
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
Like, you don't know what to, and I think maybe that's a good point too, though, is that we have a lot of routines that we do, like everybody does, that maybe we don't label them as routines. So we don't say it's a routine, and then we're not like, oh, we don't like it. But this is just, these are the things that we do. That's what you said. Like, these are the things that we do. And so I think that's kind of cool when kids are able to call you out and be like, you didn't
all the time
do this. Okay,
exactly.
Routine, but it's ours.
That reminds me of what Jania said earlier about just neurodivergent students in your class, because sometimes when you, depending on the situation, changes can disrupt.
Yes.
Unsuspected things can disrupt the pattern and the flow, because, you know, especially if you have maybe a student with autism and then they come in, if you insert a surprise in there, and because they know exactly what to do, and you've established that routine, and if you're not going over that and having a just like the consistency, that can really disrupt the pattern, and it just goes left from there sometimes.
So since I'm not in the classroom, I'm gonna bring it back to the house for a second.
Yes.
Another thing I feel like I like about the routines is it establishes responsibility. So there's two routines that I am in love with right now at home. So one of them is a morning routine. We have like this checklist by Cameron's door where there are like 6 things he has to do in the morning, 6 things he has to do in the evening, and like he checks those off.
I love that.
And like he likes that he is the one checking them off. And it's a reminder for all of us about like all the things that he needs to be doing in the morning before he eats breakfast, right? So we make sure the face is washed, the lotion is on, you know, and there's not a step missed because he's on his checklist. So that's one. The other one is something I saw on Instagram. So that is probably where I find a lot of my like little parent routines and stuff like that as I'm just scrolling. And sometimes I'm like, okay, y'all crazy. Other times I'm especially the gentle parents and stuff, I'd be like, okay, cut it out. But but this one I thought was pretty cool. So so at 8:00 we programmed the TV to start playing music. And everybody in the house cleans for 10 minutes. And so we were doing it for about a week, and there were days, I think the trouble with parents and routines with me is consistency.
Yes.
So there were days I was like, oh, the area is pretty clean, we could skip it, and something was like, no, just go with it, do it. And so after about a week, like I noticed the music would play and Cameron would just like get up and start doing stuff. And I'm like, what? Wow. That's how I felt like it was working. And it also helped me because the area where they're cleaning is in front of our TV where I work out. So like there were times where I wasn't doing what I needed to do for me because the family had not done what the family needed to do. So it was cool because it's like, okay, here's a little bit of responsibility for you, and you're kind of starting to own it. We also have like this marble reward system. So he gets 2 marbles for cleaning up. So like, you know, you get to earn your reward, you're owning it, but I get space and time to do what I need to do. That's I appreciate that.
That's good.
And you know what though, like Deshaun, like whatever your routine looks like, establishing those routines for the boys at home it bleeds over into school too, because and that's what's going to make it super strong. The problem then comes in if they get a teacher who's like willy-nilly and doesn't have it down. But you having established that strong routine with him, he will hopefully like internalize that and like that self-regulation that we talked about moving forward.
So how do y'all stay consistent with it though?
That's a hard one. But it's like you said, Deshaun, it's like I think when you see how it affects other areas, I think that kind of reminds us like, okay, we need to stick to this, because if this isn't clean, then I can't do what I need to do, like you said, with working out. And I know with this, I'm gonna have to try a new system with Destiny this year. Now that she's going to middle school, it's gonna have to be something different. So just thinking about like creative things that I need to do, like just writing on with those little chalk marker thingies.
Yeah.
You can write on the mirror. So in the mornings, just reminding her and have that visual, like write a little nice note on the mirror in the morning when she wakes up and remind her of, okay, this is what we need to get done before we leave out the house, like you said. And then I won't have to be like, okay, did I remind her to do this before we go? You know what I'm saying? I already did it the night before or while she was.
So do you have a reminder to remind you to write those notes every day? Okay. And that's what my biggest thing was. Because like, I set then this is probably coming from the classroom. I know it's coming from the classroom. I have an alarm for everything. Everything. 6:30 is dinner time. Okay, then 7:20, start your bedtime routine. You gotta brush your teeth. There are a million alarms that I have to remember to turn off when I get a day off from school or something. But like it's
everything.
Alarms are my consistency.
Yeah, I think Deshaun with you and using like the Alexa or whatever you said to play the music. So I love an alarm, but they also really startle me, and I usually end up pushing snooze to them. So alarms are not really honest. They're not really my thing. Like, they're not really, and not like an alarm every. No. So I was gonna say like alarms for us to wake up. Yes, so that is something new that we'll do with Austin this year because Adrian already has one, so he knows like he gets himself up, he starts brushing his teeth, those things. And I just have to say like, hey, did you do everything you need to do this morning? Well, now Austin's going to VPK and he has asked for an alarm clock, so he will get one so that I don't have to like walk over to the house. Not that it's like that fun, but like I don't have to like get you up. Like you are kind of like taking some responsibility yourself. And I'm allowing you to explore your independence, right? Do I think that you can brush your teeth by yourself? Great, every day. No, but am I going to let you try it? Yes, and then come in and be like, oh, I just need to check and see like how great you did. Oh, it's wonderful, like those kind of things. But I want you to also be independent and not be like relying on me forever, ever, for everything. And I do think, like, so we may do like, hey, in 2 minutes, I'm going to like, we're going to get in the car and I'll set an alarm for that. But I can't do an alarm every moment. But I think it also goes back to how do we make you consistent or like doing things that naturally flow with your family.
Right.
So exactly. It becomes kind of, we don't even really think about it to a certain extent. It's like, I know that I woke up at 7:00. I know today is Monday that I have to go to school. So I know that I need to do like all of these things, right? Or before I go to bed, like I know tomorrow at school, I'm going to be thirsty and I need to take my water bottle. So let me go ahead and fill it up and put it in the fridge. And there may be like little reminders, but I think there's also the piece of like, it's okay for it not to be consistent sometimes. Take off the pressure. Like
you're still human. You're not a robot.
It's okay. Unless it goes really loud. But
that's true. And that's like just like a lesson for them on like how they can organize for themselves, because like part of Lucas's routine is when we get home, pack your lunch for the next day, do your water bottle, put it in the fridge. I'm not going to remind you of that every single day. That's part of our routine. If you forget it, is it a big deal? No. But now you have to take a little bit of the time that you were going to take to make your breakfast and do whatever, or watch TV while you're eating your breakfast, to go do that. If you don't want to take that time, then make it from the day before. But it's on you because you still need lunch.
Right. And then they have the natural consequences as a result.
Right.
I'm not doing it too.
Your comment, Jania, reminded me a couple of things about like knowing your kid. So one was like how you were celebrating Austin, you know, checking his teeth. Oh, you did a great job. Like that's something I had to learn with Kim, that like his love language is like words of affirmation. He will do anything for self-recognition and, you know, hugs and all that stuff, like physical touch. Those aren't mine, right? So like that was an adjustment for me. But like I'm his life coach, right? So I got to give him what he needs, you know, and motivate him to get him, you know, where he's going. Another thing, when you mentioned time, is I learned that he will do anything for a timer, honey. So like,
it's great.
Say like, Cameron, it's time for bed. Go right now. He cannot handle it, right?
Right.
But if you say you have 10 minutes until we go to bed or until we leave or until you put the game up, then it's like, all right, cool, no problem. Then the timer goes off and we don't have an issue at all.
Right.
So I think about like whether it's at home or it's in the classroom, how like establishing routines provides that like predictability, which I think is good for kids. And I can recognize that I needed that as a kid. Like I wasn't comfortable in just like free for all environment.
Right.
Like, you know, so I liked, you know, the structure and I know what's going to happen and all of that. Like it made me feel like good and safe and calm and just free to learn. Yeah. So I think either way, that predictability piece is important.
Yeah. Just think about how we need that as adults, even going into specific jobs that we work at. It's just like, wait a minute, hold up, where's the structure here? So just imagine it's like for our littles that go in and they have no type of, you know, there's nothing to look forward to. It's like, what are we doing here?
Right.
No.
Yeah, I feel like at work, I found that there's two types of people. Like there's people like that can walk into ambiguity and be like, okay, well, I'm gonna do my thing and I'm gonna make this and this and this. I'm gonna make it happen. And other people, they need the whole playbook to be written beforehand. And I mean, like those people were once kids. So like, what did that look like in childhood?
That's true. Right. That's true. And then learning who these littles are as people, because I was not on either end of that spectrum. I like, don't just do free for all, because then I don't know where to start. What do you want from me? I was not also the person that wanted to be confined into a box. So like, give me a goal, an end goal. If you don't care about the journey, that's great. Let me get there. Wow. So I'm like in the middle, and it drives me absolutely crazy when I go into a meeting and it's just like, yeah, let's brainstorm random things. Like, well, what do you want? Because I don't have 4 hours to waste on trying to guess and figure life out.
Yeah. So structure with autonomy.
Exactly. And that is exactly like Lucas. You know, like our children are us.
For better or for worse.
Yeah, for better or for worse. At least I know me. So I can line it up for him.
Right.
So are there any new routines you guys are going to start out now that school is about to start? Yeah. I know, Latrice, you mentioned the liquid chalk. Anybody else trying something new?
Yeah, we're going to do the alarm clock for Austin. So this will be interesting to see how it goes.
I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I have not thought about any new routines because Lucas has been on the same routine since kindergarten.
Yeah.
Like when I knew he was going into kindergarten, he got little snack containers. I put them milk for cereal in like little things that he can handle. He had an alarm clock. He has a toothbrush timer. Like, so I wake up half an hour after he does. After I take a shower and all the things, I come out here like, look at you. Okay, we're leaving now. So
we are not worthy.
I love that. I want that like so bad. I'm working on it. I love that.
That goes back to like just my thinking, right? It's less stress for me, right? Because I hate waking up early, so I want every last drop of sleep. So if I can get it by helping you get what you need, like be independent that way, great. Yeah. Yep. And Lucas will wake up when the alarm goes off. He never like sleeps through his alarm either. And he'll tell Alexa like, okay, stop alarm. I got it. Then you'll hear the toothbrush timer going. Then he'll come out here, get his breakfast, muffins and milk or cereal or whatever he chooses, sit out here. And when I get out the shower, I'll just pop my head out like
sitting there chilling.
Great. We're going to leave soon. His like lunchbox around him with his book bag on, eating cereal. Like, I'm waiting for you, Mom. That's the way I like it.
Watch out, let's go.
I love that.
Yeah, that's cool.
I love that. I might try your routine, Deshaun. Actually, like the one with
the music.
I think I might like that one because we've got the routine of just eat dinner, go brush your teeth, like what's coming next. But I like that kind of like 10 minutes of just everybody kind of free for all cleanup. Like that would probably help out a lot, even for the weekend piece of it. Of like once we get to the big clean, everything has been moved. So we might.
Yeah, that's true. I do like that one too. Yeah. And I'm thinking about implementing something more for him with his laundry. He folds and puts away his laundry, but like I need you to also wash and separate.
Yeah.
Lucas
is winning here. He's awesome.
That's why I'm so scared to have another one because Caleb is a baby right now, but I know he's the one that's gonna bring the monkey wrench to the party.
Yep. At least
It's always the youngest one because like the other day the timer went off, Cameron's doing his thing, and he's like, Jackson, you have to clean up too. I look at Jackson, and Jackson is found like a Scully that somebody brought us when they took a trip to England, and he's like bopping around to the music with his Scully on. Wait a minute. Like, you and these blocks. You got to pick up the blocks. Let's go. Let's go.
It's always the second one.
Yeah, wild. So, and wrapping us up, anything that you all are excited about?
Yeah. Second grade, starting second grade, up the responsibility, up the rigor of school, all the things. So I'm excited about how that's gonna play out for him.
Yep. I'm excited about starting a new school. Destiny starting a new school. It's just a lot of transitions and new beginnings for our entire family. Yep.
There's so many transitions at our house.
Yeah.
So many transitions.
Are we talking about your new sister locks or no?
Yeah, I mean that's one of them.
Oh yeah.
That's one of them. Shout out to Tara Janelle. Yeah, thank you very much. But no, so Austin is going to VPK. So that's a transition, a whole new school, new building, new setup. Adrian is going to middle school. His mom is going to middle school with him now. So I got a new position.
Yes.
So I will be going to middle school with him. So that's a whole new transition. I guess my husband doesn't really have a new well, I guess you got
to deal with everybody going through
like, transition. Sorry. You don't have a transition. But yeah, so there's just a lot of new transitions, but I think it's all going to be really good. I'm really excited about it. I think it will actually give us a little bit more flexibility in our routines because there will be more time with all of us like together in the same space or really close compared to last year. So yeah, I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, cool. I'm excited for Cam that he made it through summer camp. So it was like a new experience for him. He was a little bit hesitant, like going in there at first because he just left kindergarten. So it was his first like real summer experience, and he kills it. Had a good time, and it was a good program that wasn't like $300 a week. Like some of the like that's one thing we talk about one of these episodes is the cost of summer programs. Like, I know people got to make their money, but they can be breaking assistance. So that's a thing too. But in true educator fashion, right? So before we close, we have homework. So for those watching, we would love if you would try out a routine and tell us how it goes. We'll be posting some of our routines that we're doing at home or in the classroom on social media. So comment, like, share, engage, post your routines, ask your kids what they think about routines and share it with us so we can just start a community conversation about what this looks like and how it impacts us in the classroom and at home. And of course, we are streaming this podcast, this Be Ready podcast on YouTube. So please like, share, comment, subscribe, all the things. So until next time, keep laughing and keep learning.
Yes.
Bye everybody.